beautiful beings in brilliant bodies. Today, I'd like to speak with you about pain. My clients come to me with pain. It's pretty common. Often people come to me actually with back pain. Sometimes it's belly pain, like digestive inner organs feeling uncomfortable or painful, headaches, migraines, joint pain, hip pain, neck pain, emotional pain, post-traumatic stress disorder, trauma, heartbreak. I'm going to touch upon some of the fastest, most effective, and most long-lasting ways that I have discovered for myself and others to get out of pain. Let's begin with the first and most obvious angle we can take when it comes to physical pain. Physical pain is known also as inflammation, or where there is pain, there is always inflammation. You could put it that way. Sometimes there's inflammation without pain. That's more rare. It does happen. Or what people call bloating or puffiness, or holding water weight. These are forms of inflammation that not always produce pain. However, where there is physical pain, there is for sure inflammation. And there are many things that cause inflammation. Dehydration at the cellular and molecular level is consistent when there's inflammation. And toxicity is sometimes a factor as well. So, which brings us back to having the proper source of hydration. One of my holistic health teachers used to say, the solution to pollution is dilution. So toxicity is often resolved, at least in large part, through proper hydration. And hydration has to come down into the tiniest at the molecular level, cellular and molecular level. So drinking water isn't necessarily translating to the cells, molecules being hydrated. So also another cause of inflammation or pain can be a lack of cellular voltage. And with electrolyzed reduced water, again, voltage can be restored because it's alive, it's electrical. And pain is inflammation, inflammation is pain, they coexist. And so toxicity can be in connection to the result of inflammation in the body. This is basically one of the main things, right, that we're dealing with in the modern world. And one way we can really decrease the load is by coming right back to the primordial design of our bodies, which is to consume high water content plant foods. First off, we have the physical pain, which, like I said, can be caused by dehydration, caused by toxicity. Another common factor, very common, in fact, I still have not met an adult human or even an adolescent human yet who isn't struggling with postural, default postural patterns that are contributing to misalignment. So a misaligned spine, misaligned joints, misaligned rib cage, misaligned hips, misaligned head, neck position, all of these parts being out of alignment can drastically, and even over a short period of time, dramatically increase pain in the body. So even while you're watching this, let's do an experiment. Shift your head forward if it's not already. Chances are it already is. I'll go sideways, you can see. shift your weight or your head forward, and then let it go more and more forward and down, more and more and more. And you'll notice, as I am right now demoing this, the lower part of my neck and my upper back is getting sore, and the whole head just feels really heavy. With time, that's going to cause a lot of upper back pain and neck pain, and there's no tone, there's no power in the back of the neck to hold what is supposed to be a curved shape. The neck, cervical spine, is supposed to be a forward curve. Believe it or not, a lot of modern alignment methods will teach a straight spine. That's actually not going to work if you want to stay pain-free. I tried the straight spine thing for many decades and I still had all the back pain. Upper, lower, middle, I had all the back pain. And then once I finally allowed the curvatures to come back into my spine as the spine is designed, then I was able to get out of pain along with other factors. So alignment is key. If you did that, by the way, bring the head back up, lift the crown of the head, lift the chin, and tilt the tops of the ears back. And now breathe sideways as if you could breathe your ribs under the armpits wide. Allow the shoulders to slide wide. Lift the top of the head and lift the chin, and see how your upper back and neck feels moving forward. Stick with me. You'll notice that it's lighter and there's less tension building in those areas. So alignment is huge. And also waking up the muscle groups that have been asleep. In our modern world, we tend to be not only misaligned and curved forward into like a C shape, we also simultaneously suffer with asleep muscle groups in the back body. So we're shortened in the front body, curved and hunched, and like a cashew. I call it the human cashew. And then we're lacking in tone and awakeness and power in the muscle groups that are meant to hold us up and open and strong. And so evening out the muscle tone and the soft tissue in general, the fascia as well, smoothing it out, evening it out, making sure it's a uniform tone, 360 degrees around, that'll help to avoid, or it'll help the groups of muscles that are overworking to ease off and to be relieved, and it'll encourage the groups of muscles that have been asleep to wake up and power up and pitch in, right? So everything is working simultaneously to support the body weight in an even way, and this helps us feel lifted and floating and light and no more tension, which means no more chronic muscle pain in that case. I love to read bodies. So when I have someone in front of me and I'm looking at posture and alignment, I can see where the misalignment is. And then as we get into conversation about lifestyle and what type of water, what type of food, what type of sleeping habits, what type of light habits, what type of indoor versus outdoor interactions and habits and time being spent and all that, it all has an effect on how much inflammation we have, how much ability to recharge the body is being given so that we can stay in a state or return to a state of feeling good and blissful too. The other factor, of course, is the emotional pain that everyone who's lived any kind of life worth living has experienced or is experiencing emotional pain. This can come in the form of heartbreak, this can come in the form of disappointment, or, well, there's so many different ways. We all have emotions. So there's the alpha emotions that are contracting by nature. So that includes shame, fear, guilt, anger, frustration, anxiety. These feelings or emotions are contracting, and they're dense feeling, and they tend to pull everything in and add tension to the body and contract the rib space, which makes the breathing smaller. And then there's the omega emotions, where it's opening, lifting, and expanding. Feelings of gratitude, love, joy, inspiration, happiness, compassion. Those are the expansive, uplifting ones. And we need all of these emotions. We need to play within this whole spectrum. It's just knowing what the effect is on the body. And then obviously, if we store or if we stay holding on to those alpha contracted emotions, then that's going to end up translating into physical pain, not just the emotional pain. So that's happened to me before. Anyone else? Has that happened to you, where you're in a heartbreak or a grief period and it just feels like emotional pain for a while, and then it starts to turn into back pain or stomach uh, upset or trouble digesting or whatever it could be. It becomes physical if we don't move that emotion. And breath and movement, I guess they're both movement because the breath is movement, are both really essential to allow emotion to flow through us. Another form of pain, okay, this is a really important one that often doesn't get enough recognition or doesn't get talked about enough, I find, in the health and wellness space, is the struggle that is actually very common these days, known as cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is essentially, you can boil it down to when a person is dealing with facing a reality or facts that contradict their self-concept or their actions. Really, it's a contradiction between a belief and an action. That's another simple way to put it. There's longer and bigger definitions, one of which is attempting to hold two contradicting beliefs at the same time, which is actually not possible. So it's like it's like a glitch. And commonly, it's when we are facing new information that's factual, that we can feel and know to be true, and it can be proven, and our behavior is not matching. So a big one with cognitive dissonance, is most of you watching are, and most humans alive today, I believe, are good people at heart and see themselves that way because that is a truth. So say we're born, anyone who's met a baby knows that they are pure, they are innocent, and that's kind of, in my opinion, the essence of who we are, is this like little love beam in the world. And from that place of pure intention, of goodwill, of meaning well, of, you know, choosing to be a loving, kind person. And then when we're faced with the reality, the way that this construct, this matrix is built around us, obviously we didn't build it. And so it's not necessarily built with pure intentions or with the highest good of everyone in mind. And so back to the point, most people are good people at heart and have a sense of right and wrong, of ethics. Like, for example, probably I would say at least 99% of people watching this or who interact with me even in person would prefer not to kill baby animals themselves. They just wouldn't do it. They're not attracted to it. It's not something that makes them salivate. You know, another way that I like to work with the body when I'm working one-on-one with clients or teaching in a group, it's like, what are the instincts in the body that we can't change? What are the innate behaviors that come forth that we literally cannot change, like just happen before thought can happen? And that is so fascinating to really dive into and really take a look at. And this is where some of this cognitive dissonance can happen for a lot of people. And by the way, it's totally fine to go through cognitive dissonance. It's part of the awakening process. There's no awakening as a spiritual being embodied on earth without cognitive dissonance. It's a good sign if you're willing to learn and grow and adjust your actions as you go. I've had to face lots of cognitive dissonance. I've had to change the way I see things. I've had to change the way I do things based on new factual information presenting itself through friends, through teachers, or through my own inquiry and my own investigations. So it's not a bad thing. It's just that it feels bad. It feels really shitty when we're in it. So we need to have compassion for each other. But for example, back to the example of, what makes us salivate when it comes to food and our drive to live and our drive to consume. For most of us who consider ourselves good, kind-hearted people, we don't have those instincts when we're encountering like cute, fluffy animals, baby animals specifically. So when you see like a little baby chick that's like smaller than my hand, newborn fluffy baby chick, our instinct is not to kill it as soon as it hatches out of its shell, right? The reality is that in the egg industry and even in the backyard hen industry, the males that get hatched, so 50% of the population that are hatched as newborns get killed right away. That's a moment of cognitive dissonance for people who purchase eggs, because then it means that we are paying for something, demanding something that requires an action that we ourselves would not do and don't believe in and don't think is a good idea. And then when it comes to the rights of a mother to love and care for her child, most of us believe, yeah, if she's a loving mother, then she has the right to care for her baby. And we wouldn't intentionally, most of you watching, would not intentionally take a newborn baby away from a mother and then hook up the mother to machines to then steal her breast milk to be consumed by adult humans or to sell it to adult humans. And yet, that's exactly what happens in the dairy industry. And worse, there's a whole lot worse that happens than that. Because again, the males are killed as newborns. The females are forcibly impregnated when you think about what that means. And I know this might seem like it's taking a turn for the dark, but this is the cognitive dissonance. It's like people see products or habits and traditions, and it's compartmentalized. And it's when the connection happens, when the action that's required, which is not an action that the person believes in and thinks is wrong, but the action is required to continue the habits that one has. When those dots connect, that's the cognitive dissonance. So that's a form of mental pain and anguish. And luckily, there's an easy solution, an easy resolve for that. However, it's just another form of pain, realizing that the structures and the systems in which we were born, that we didn't build ourselves, are evil, straight up. Just the systems that are set up are destructive, are violent, and are very much connected to ultimately a death cult. And if you're not that far along yet, yeah, we're run by systems that are in that totally opposite to human nature. The thing about pain, though, is when we put blinders on and we try to avoid it or just manage it or compartmentalize or put it over here and not look at it, just deal with it or tell ourselves it's normal, that only makes things worse. Unfortunately, it makes things worse over time. The pain increases until something gets severe. Another thing that can cause severe pain is acidosis, which is a condition that some health experts who've had a lot of success with their clients and their patients refer to this term acidosis as sort of the primal original cause of all the other diseases and all the things that get diagnosed. So the human body is meant to live in an alkaline state overall, like the blood is meant to be alkaline. And when we intake a lot of acidic things, such as dead bodies of animals or the excretions that come out of animals or chemicals, additives, and stress. Stress is a big cause of acidic overload or acidosis in the body, and this over time contributes to pain as well. Skin breakouts or digestive pain, upset, all that kind of stuff, and joint pain, muscle aches and pains, headaches for sure. So all of this, again, it really depends on each person. What are the top contributors? There's probably many factors. If pain is happening in the body or even in the heart and in the mind, there's probably multiple factors. However, just like water, finding the path of least resistance, finding the swiftest, most flowy, most effective way to get relief, that's what I love to do. Honestly, I love it. It's one of my favorite things is working with people and watching the real-time transformation and glow up that happens in literal minutes sometimes. Sometimes it's days, sometimes it's weeks. However, there's usually a key that unlocks the door to freedom quite quickly when we're aware of what these solutions could be. So it's exciting because wouldn't it be cool? Just imagine with me for a moment. Wouldn't it be so cool if we lived in a world where humans overall did not experience chronic pain? I mean, I'm not going to make any big claims that pain will never happen. I think it's a Buddhist saying that says pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, something along those lines. And unfortunately, I've suffered a lot. However, I think that through all of my years and explorations and practice of learning how to get myself out of pain and then subsequently getting other people out of pain, I have found some really rapid keys. So one of them is electrolyzed reduced water. Just switching your water, it does not even require any extra time, any extra effort, any of that. And for people with migraines, for example, persistent aches and pains, joint pain, skin issues, digestive issues, this has proven to be one of the fastest things in my experience working with hundreds and hundreds of clients. And one way that's connected, this is why I'm thinking of this, because the water has an electrical charge, the specific water that I work with. Another way to access electrical charge, electrical nutrition, or cellular voltage, this is all sort of in the same category, and it helps to get us out of pain as well, because you know when your device is low on battery, it shows the little red battery warning. This is what our cells are dealing with a lot of the time, is a depletion in actual energy, life force, and this can be very painful. And so walking on the earth, skin to skin, or better, more of the body connecting skin to skin to the earth for as long as possible is one of the fastest, most accessible, and obviously free ways to help reduce inflammation and restore that electrical charge. Now, the thing is 5-10 minutes, you're going to probably feel better already. However, these body designs that we have, this is an ancient design, and it's only in recent history where we have rubber-soled shoes, we have rubber on the tires, the houses are insulated in certain ways where we're cut off from the electrical current of the earth. And so we were actually meant to have this contact, this connection, this electrical recharging, cycling of energy from the earth for all day long. 8, 9, 10, 24 hours a day. So getting your steps in barefoot, connecting with the sea, the sand, grass, dirt, trees, contacting trees. These are all ways that we can recharge, but it does take quite a lot of hours in a day, like at least 8 to be honest, to just get that full recharge in this way, this grounding, earthing way that is available for free. And I do recommend that you do it as long as you can each and every day. Nature immersions in general are restorative and anti-inflammatory and rebalancing and recharging and soothing and all of that. So still a good idea. However, it's not the fastest for the long term. Short term, definitely good results, especially if you can spend like a whole day barefoot. Amazing. But you do have to keep that up. And that's why I'm such a big fan of this water. Breathing is another one. So when we're depleted in oxygen, remember at the beginning I was talking about that compressed lung capacity because of the contraction of the ribs. When we're able to expand our lung capacity and therefore dramatically boost our uptake in oxygen, this can help with rebalancing everything and helping with pain, reducing inflammation, and restoring the healing processes in the body that require oxygenation. So you guys, we're going to go into the more customized ways of how to get out of your specific kind of pain. So there's going to be some opportunity for interaction, and I'll be able to coach you and help you narrow down what is the most important step for you to begin with, and what are some of the small shifts that can create a huge impact in your life. So just like a beam of light, when you shift something just a little bit, sometimes something seemingly small, seemingly obvious, seemingly too simple, a tiny pivot, an adjustment can open up a huge smooth pathway or create momentum for then the next bigger steps to seem more accessible to you, right? When we feel better, we do better. When we have less pain and there's a sense of relief already, then something bigger like doing 30, 60-minute movement practices every day, or changing the food structure that we're used to, or the habits with our screen time, or the sequence of events that we do in the morning or in the evening, like some of these things that are maybe seemingly more challenging to shift will come a lot more smoothly when we're feeling better, when we literally have the energy levels to be able to take on those bigger shifts, right? So I love supporting those who are ready to feel immediate transformations, immediate improvements, immediate tastes of the bliss that our body is designed to live in every day. And from there, things can expand and expand and expand into those omega states of being. Joy, compassion, right at the top. Compassion is the biggest one. When we start with authenticity, that is a huge, huge, huge green flag. So for those of you who are ready to admit, look, I've been in pain, I've tried a bunch of things, hasn't worked, I could use a sounding board, I could use some guidance from someone who lives pain-free physically most of the time and has overcome ridiculous amount. I'll tell you my story later. Maybe that'll be in the workshop or in upcoming lives. So I'm going to cover a few different topics this week. Ah, I live in the jungle and there was a big bug that landed in my... Oh, there he is. See? We get a lot of giant insects here in Costa Rica. That one was small, but they're friends. Most of them are friendly. So what was I saying? Yes, we'll be covering some more topics this week. There is an upcoming 90-minute workshop coming up, so please do drop the comment shape, because all of this is connected to your shape. We were talking about pain today, but when we're in pain, that shapes our posture, which shapes how our bodies appear, and there might be inflammation or bloating and other things that affect our shape. And so as we get out of pain, we open up, we lift up, and we're able to embody and embrace the true form, the proportional form that you're really meant to inhabit when you're feeling great, when you're in love with the body that you have. You can also book a complimentary consultation with me as well if you're curious about this, and if you're feeling like this little inkling in your heart that this season is your crossroads, this is your time to absolutely transform your relationship and your experience in your body, then let's talk, because I have some really exciting things opening up just this season. And I know I can help those of you who are resonating with all of this and who would like to experience the bliss that I keep referring to that exists in this physical realm here and now. All right. Thanks for being with me. I can't wait to see your comments, your thoughts. I would love to hear your insights. You're all so intelligent, and what's even more powerful is the intelligence that lives in our bodies. Because I personally, in my experience, what I've been able to comprehend in my mind is so small compared to the body consciousness. And aligning with that, aligning our ethics, our morals, our intentions, and the love of our hearts, aligning all of those things into actions that help blossom the health of the human body. The best. I look forward to helping you with all that, to supporting you, to walking alongside you and being your ally. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for being here. Sending you so much love.